Headlines say AI is ending careers. Government data says something calmer. This video checks the loudest jobs claims against the real numbers. Layoff headlines hit inboxes every week. Radiologists, paralegals, customer service reps, every one of them has read a story that says their job is next. Goldman Sachs named two numbers: 300 million jobs, 7% GDP growth. But that number describes exposure, not elimination. Economists distinguish between a task changing and a job disappearing entirely, and few headlines make that distinction clear. Translation: AI touching a task is not the same as ending a job. Government employment data comes from surveys of hundreds of thousands of workplaces every single month, not a press release or a headline count. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks every industry every month without exception. So employment overall keeps climbing. The real question is not whether jobs vanish, but which tasks inside them change first. Stanford found AI lifted output 14% on average, 34% for newcomers. That gap matters more than it looks. AI tools tend to raise the floor for beginners faster than the ceiling for experts already near the top. Training now matters more than raw experience. By the end, you will know the one number economists actually agree on. The World Economic Forum projects 83 million jobs lost, 69 million gained. Subtract one from the other, and the net change looks smaller than the headline. History backs this up. When ATMs spread through banks, teller headcount fell in each branch, but banks opened more branches and hired more tellers overall. Every wave of automation shifts tasks first, whole jobs second. Translation: robots replace tasks. People still own judgment calls. McKinsey Global Institute has studied the shift for years, long before generative AI became a boardroom buzzword, tracking how automation moves through entire economies. McKinsey estimates 375 million workers may switch occupations by 2030. That sounds dramatic, until you remember switching occupations is not unemployment. Most workers shift sideways into adjacent roles, not out of work entirely. Researchers gave this pattern a name: the Jagged Frontier. Harvard and Wharton researchers tested this on Boston Consulting Group consultants using an AI model on real client tasks inside a controlled experiment. Inside AI's strong zone, tasks finished 25% faster, quality up 40%. Outside that same zone, consultants who leaned on AI for tasks it could not handle produced worse work than those who used no AI at all. Translation: knowing where AI struggles matters as much as knowing where it excels. So what happens when we look at how people actually use AI daily? Anthropic studies this directly. Its economic index tracks real conversations with its Claude model across millions of real work sessions, not surveys or guesses. AI fully replacing a task versus assisting one stays close to 50-50. Some workers learn AI's blind spots. Others just trust every answer it gives. The bigger obstacle is not AI skill, it is how companies deploy it. MIT researchers studied hundreds of corporate AI rollouts, interviewing dozens of executives about what actually shipped versus what stayed stuck in endless pilot mode. Companies spent $30 to $40 billion. 95% saw no return. The failure sits in management, not the model. So if buying a license doesn't guarantee results, what does? PwC tracks over 1 billion job postings across dozens of countries to find out. PwC found workers with AI skills earn a 56% wage premium. The skill pays more than the title now. That same Harvard and Wharton study also broke results down by skill level, comparing the weakest performers in the group against the strongest ones. The weakest performers improved 43%. The strongest gained just 17%. Translation: AI raises the floor faster than it raises the ceiling. That is good news for beginners today, but some economists warn about tomorrow. If AI absorbs the entry-level grunt work, where does judgment come from? That is a real risk worth naming, not a reason to panic. The exposure is not evenly spread either. Some roles absorb the brunt of this shift, while others barely notice AI is in the building at all. You'll see this argument resurface every time a company announces layoffs. The World Economic Forum names the clearest losers: clerical and admin roles. The World Economic Forum ties 26 million of those lost roles directly to record-keeping and administrative work getting automated first. If your job is mostly paperwork, pay attention now. Most knowledge jobs mix routine tasks with judgment calls AI can't yet make. Researchers studying this split describe 5 domains where humans still hold the advantage: judgment under ambiguity, trust, empathy, creative reframing, and critical thinking. 5 domains: judgment, trust, empathy, creative reframing, critical thinking. Translation: these are not soft skills, they are the moat. None of this means sit back and wait for headlines to settle. It means aiming at the right target, judgment, not typing speed. So what actually moves the needle for your own career? The pattern repeats in every study here. People who learn AI's limits outperform people who ignore them or trust it blindly. The winners are not smarter, they are more deliberate. Here is the actual roadmap, drawn straight from the research above, not generic career advice you have already heard 100 times. 3 moves: map your frontier, get trained, document your judgment. Start by testing AI on your own real tasks for a week. Note where it saves real time and where it quietly gets things wrong. Training is what turned that 56% wage premium real. Document the calls only you can make, the exceptions, the judgment overrides, the moments you caught something the model missed entirely. Translation: build a paper trail for the parts only you can do. Now, back to that number I promised at the start. Net 14 million jobs, about 2% of the world's workforce. The apocalypse headline is describing 2%, not everyone. That 2% is real, and it deserves real planning, but it is a fraction of the workforce, not the whole workforce disappearing overnight. The headline was never wrong, it was just incomplete. This is not about denying real disruption. Radiologists, paralegals, and entry-level coders have all seen real change already, not hypothetical change. Doom headlines sell fear. The data sells a plan instead. Translation: fear sells clicks. Evidence actually sells better outcomes. So the next time a headline says every job is doomed, you will know exactly which questions to ask before you believe it. Ask, is this exposure or elimination? Which task, not job? What's the real source? Translation: read past the headline to the actual mechanism. 2 kinds of people watch a video like this. One closes the tab, the other opens a new one and starts testing. This changes who gets hired, promoted, and trusted with bigger calls. None of that requires a computer science degree. It requires paying attention to your own work the way these researchers paid attention to theirs. Translation: attention is the actual skill everyone is underrating. Remember the opening line claiming AI is ending careers? Government data never agreed with that claim. Employment kept climbing through every wave of this technology, the same way it did after every wave before it. The pattern repeats. New tech arrives, headlines panic, data catches up. That gap between panic and proof is exactly where this channel lives. Exposure, adaptation, advantage. That is the real sequence, not extinction. Adapting is not automatic. It takes the deliberate moves already covered. Every wave of new technology looked identical from the inside, confusing, uneven, moving faster for some workers than for others. Translation is normal. Ignoring the pattern is the actual risk. So the honest answer to "is my job safe?" is never a flat yes or no. It depends on your actual daily tasks. So, which one will you be, the tab closer or the tester? Whichever you choose, the data will keep updating every month. The only real question is whether you keep reading it. Subscribe if you want the data before the next headline. That's the whole pitch.